Alright, let's see if we can record a little bit before the sun goes down. Hello and welcome to the Knitting Traditions podcast. My name is Inga and this is my little corner on the internet where I talk about my knitting. This is a little extra episode coming to you from my cabin, which is where I'm at this week. And if you're a returning viewer, hello, and if you're new, I hope you enjoyed this content. If you have been here If you have been here before, then maybe you can see that I've gotten a little bit of color since last time. I've been spending the last couple of days hiking in the mountains and paddling and being outdoors a lot. And I always use a lot of sunscreen, but sometimes it's not enough with my pale skin and the high intensity sun. But anyways, I welcome the color before winter gets here. So let's start with what I'm wearing. So this is the short-sleeved version of mellomtrøya, which is a pattern by Drople design. I think it's almost a year since I asked her if she would translate it to English. As of now, it's only in Norwegian. So if you would like it, maybe send her a message and maybe she'll get around to translating it. I love this pattern. I have 3 long-sleeved versions, this short-sleeve version, and her cardigan version. And I've knit all of them in tinde, which is a pelt wool yarn from hillesvåg, and it's my go-to garment if I'm traveling anywhere. I always bring one of them because the fit is nice. I can wear them both in like everyday life, and also I know that if I have that with me, then I have a warm garment if it gets a little bit chilly, because it is really a lovely warmth that this pelt wool gives. It's almost like a fluffy mohair feeling. It's on the rustic side. The sweaters are maybe a bit more comfortable because I can wear t-shirts underneath it. Sometimes when because this is next to skin and it's a bit tighter than the sweaters that I've made, it can itch a little bit in the chest area and the arms. But yeah, no, still love it. If I were to make this t-shirt again, I think I would size up. I think I actually made a size smaller than what I was supposed to for my size. I don't know why sometimes I do that. I think in my early knitting days I would often also size down because that would save me a skein of yarn that I have to buy sometimes. And also I like tight fitting things as opposed to 20 centimeters of positive ease, which some patterns have. But my tastes are changing, so I'm trying to also make some more oversized garments as well. Alright, so I hope you're doing well and that you have something to drink. I made myself a coffee even though it's evening here. I've been out foraging all day and I felt like I deserved a little bit of a treat. And I'm drinking from this very cute mug. I like to collect ceramics. This is not one that is handmade. I bought it in a store. I bought 4 of them for the cabin. Just because I know that my parents, who I share this cabin with, they're not a big fan of the whole 20 different mugs of different designs look. So I got 4 of an aesthetic that I like. It looks handmade even though it's not. But I'm always looking for nice handmade ceramics. So if you do know of anyone that makes lovely ceramic mugs, please let me know below, because I'm struggling to find makers. It's hard if you're not into the whole environment to find lovely makers of different crafts. So if you know anyone, let us know below. Okay, so hoping the lighting's okay so we can just talk a little bit about all the things knitting. Since last time, I have been working a bit on my half and half wrap. I'm keeping it in my Sage Valley handmade bag, which is a woolen bag, and I love anything woolen. And I'm still on the first skein of the second color. I'm in no rush though. I'm almost done with it. I think here you can see the lovely green tones of this yarn. I'm in no rush to finish this. It's a lovely kind of in-between knit. It's a free pattern by Pearl Soho. I used the largest size, which uses 3 skeins of each color in the linen quill. And that's the yarn that I've used in the oatmeal grey. And why do I always forget the name of this? I have it with me so I can... It's juniper green. And I have opted for a sort of garter, no, not this is garter, but an I-cord edging on the side, which is created by slipping the last 3 stitches with yarn in front. You could do the same with 1 or 2 stitches, but I did 3, same as a front to knit with. And then I've opted for German short rows instead of regular short rows. It's just very easy to do, and I like the look of it. So this is sort of a knit that I knit on in between all my other projects, because sometimes I don't have the brain capacity to pay attention to what I'm doing, and then this is perfect because it's just knitting back and forth, and it's still something happening. So even though there is a lot of garter, that's not a problem for me, because my preferred stitch is the knit stitch, and I'm in a rush to finish it, so I'm just knitting on it when I feel like it, and it's just pure bliss. I love it so much. It feels so nice and squishy, and like many other people out there who have knitted this, I don't think it's gonna be my last one, which is good because I have lots more yarn, which I could use for garments, but I think I will make at least one more half and half wrap for sure. Other than that, I have also been working on this sweater. It's fall. Fall is here. It's 1st of September, so I'm all about the sweater knitting. This is the Sarah sweater, and I will put the designer name here. It's Leni, I think, something. It sounds almost Finnish, but I haven't checked if she's actually from Finland. But the name sounds like it. I'm sorry if that is wrong. This is a lovely, lovely sweater that I have had in my queue for the longest time. The pattern originally uses tuku wool held together with the silk mohair, I think. I have to check, but I've had it in my queue because I do have some tuku wool lingering in my stash. But I got this yarn from Zakami Yarns. It's this one right here. I think on their website it's called something fluff sock. It's a mixed blend of baby alpaca, merino, and cotton, I think. They're a couple based in Cumbria, and this yarn, the colorway is Boomy, and it's 38% baby alpaca, 25% merino, and 37 Pima cotton. And it's a fingering weight yarn, so it's around 400 meters per 100 grams. It looks more like a DK because of the fluff. I absolutely love these colors. The green, here you can see more properly, the green with like the rust flex aspects to it. And I have 3 skeins, so I have knitted the turtleneck and the upper body, and this is how much was left of the first skein when splitting for the sleeves and body, and I've used it to make this part of the body. And then the sleeves, you can kind of see that it's a new skein because it has a little bit more darker flex to it, but honestly it's so subtle that I don't really think it's super obvious. Like when you see it from afar, can you really tell? I don't know, I don't think so. I don't mind either way. And this is how much I have left of the skein that I used for the sleeves. And then I have the 3rd skein. So what I think I'm gonna do now that I finished the sleeves, because that's kind of what I did since the last time. I finished the sleeves, which has this really nice twisted rib, same as the neckline, which is twisted rib, even if you wear it up or folded down. And I've also knitted a little bit on the body, and as you see on it I have my TKB cords. That allowed me to try it on because I'm a tall person, and sometimes when I knit garments, or almost every time I knit a garment, I need to make the sleeves longer to fit my arm length, unless I do a different length, of course. So I wanted to try it on to see if the sleeves were long enough, so I knitted until they were long enough. I noticed that it wasn't as oversized as I thought it was gonna be. Maybe that's because of my gauge, or I don't know, but this is next to Skin Soft. This is all natural fibers, but it is amazingly soft. It feels kind of like butter, and it's a stark contrast to another sweater that I have been knitting on that I will talk about shortly. But before getting to that, there's a story of how I got to that other sweater, so a little bit tight. Last time I talked about spin cycle yarn that I had bought, and I found someone to swap yarns with, so I'm excited for that. If you watched the last episode, you know that some of the color that I got wasn't what I was hoping for. But I started swatching for the Shifty sweater, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I've bought a lot of her patterns. I have a lot of them in my queue, and I just haven't really gotten around to knitting them yet. So I cast on a small circular swatch. It's Grumpy Birds in the background, and then the yellowish one here is Deep Bump. I cast this on in the recommended needle size, knowing that when knitting on a small circular, sometimes the gauge is tighter than on a larger circular. But my gauge was way off. Mine is a lot bigger than the gauge she recommends. I think it's 30.5 stitches, and well, I had some 22, 24 or something. I was way off. So I went down in needle size, and this time I swapped them around just because I wanted to play a bit with the colors, because I do technically have enough of the Deep Bump to use it as the main color, but I really do want to use the I just said the name. I want to use the Grumpy Birds because it does have some nice orangey tones to it. But even though I went down a needle size, I was still way off. So I went down to, I think, 2.5 millimeter needles. And that kind of hurt my hands. And there's a lot of knitting when you do this kind of, is it called mosaic or brioche? Mosaic, I think. It's almost double the knitting that goes into sweaters, so it's going to be more slow. And it was hurting my hands knitting with these tiny needles, and I still didn't get the gauge. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or if she's just a very tight knitter or I'm a very loose knitter, I don't know, but I can't get gauge. So what I think I'm gonna do to save my hands a bit of strain, and it'll also save me a bit of yarn, is I think I'm going to go down in pattern size. So let's say I was supposed to be a size 3 or 4. I'm gonna knit size 1 or 2. I need to calculate a bit with what needle I'm gonna use and that gauge, and calculate a bit what would be best. I think I don't want to knit with anything smaller than 3 millimeters, just because I don't want to knit a sweater with less than 3 millimeter needles. So I think I'll have to do a little bit of math and see which size. I have been reading a bit of comments on Ravelry about the pattern and about the increasing being a bit uneven for the sizes except for size 2, which is the one that Andrea Mowry has on in the pattern photo. So maybe I'll make the size 2 just so that I know that the math is equal all the way around, because I've heard that people have had issues with it being too big in the back. I don't know. If you have some experiences with the shifty sweater, please feel free to comment below. I would love to hear about it. So yeah, I'll have to do a little bit of calculations to see. The reason I haven't started it while being up here as planned is because I'm not going to be using the needle size recommended in the pattern, and I don't have my mini interchangeable needles with me for the small size that I will need to use. I mean, I have 3 millimeters with me, but you need even smaller for the ribbing, and I don't have that with me. So yeah, I'm gonna have to wait until I get home. And that brought me to the sweater that I did cast on while up here. And I felt inspired by finally getting around to knitting up some of the Andrea Mowry patterns in my queue. So I found another one, the Weekender Light version. I have bought both the Weekender and the Weekender Light, and I have been planning to make it with several of the yarns in my stash. Mainly the yarn that I swapped with my friend Suzanne from Canada. She sent me some lovely Canadian yarn and I sent her some Norwegian, and I really want to make the Weekender in some of the yarn that she sent me. Not sure if I'm gonna make the light or the regular version, but I figured I wanted to use some other yarn that I had bought, which I think is going to be perfect for it, and then that will give me kind of a feeling if I like the fit of it, or if I'll use that special precious yarn that she sent on another project, perhaps this one, which I know that I love. So I cast on and I made quite a bit of progress already. So because it's sunset outside, maybe the color is a bit hard to see. My hands are blowing out, but I think the yarn is looking pretty accurate. It's a lovely, lovely rust colored yarn that has several dimensions to it, lighter and darker areas. It's beautiful. So this yarn is It's the color Roots by Wild in the Woods, and the name of this particular yarn is Folklore, I think. And this is some yarn that I bought half asleep in March when I had just started my new job. I vaguely remember looking at the stunning photos of this yarn while lying down, and then I forgot about it, and then a few months later, whoops, or weeks I guess, it was in the mail. And I got 4 skeins of this Roots color and 1 skein of a brown, which I don't have with me. So this should be plenty for the Weekender Light. I have only knit up 1 skein. That's what I've been doing all day because I wanted to show you some progress. And this is a lot of knitted fabric for 1 skein, if you ask me. And I have some lovely markers here from To Be Knitted that I have at one side, and the front side and the back side, and they mark when you're supposed to do this lovely little detail. So if you haven't seen the Weekender, it's supposed to be worn with the purl side facing out, and then you have these slip stitches in the front. But you knit it kind of inside out then, so that you don't have to do all those purl stitches. However, I am kind of liking the knitted fabric more than the purl fabric, so I think I'm going to try and make this so that I can wear it both the knit side and the purl side out. It's not super obvious in the front where you do that little detail on the inside, so I think I can easily wear it like this, and it wouldn't bother me that there is kind of a different stitch in the middle. Funny thing is, again, with this pattern, I couldn't get gauge. She used the same needle size for the shifty as she did for this, but instead of 30 stitches here, it was supposed to be 24. And I went down to 3mm needles, and I think that gave me like 21, 22 stitches. And again, I don't want to knit a sweater with 2.5 or 2mm, so instead I went down a size. So I'm knitting the size 2, but it's gonna be plenty big enough, I think, for me. Like, still have quite a bit of positive ease. I did some alterations except changing my gauge. I really like the fabric the way it's knitting up. It's quite tight, but I like that because this yarn is extremely rustic. You can feel the prickle factor almost by looking at it. It's one of the more prickly yarns that I have ever used, and I love it. It's very warm, and it feels very comforting, even though it's scratchy. I know this is going to be a great sweater for cold days. So I'm happy with the gauge that I chose for it, and it's going to bloom nicely when washing, so it's going to be almost windproof. Other changes that I made is I didn't go down in needle size for the ribbing. A lot of patterns do that. They go down in needle size for the ribbing, including this one. But I don't really want that super cinched in look. I prefer it with this kind of sweater that it is just straight, and I don't want to have to block it too much. Natural 100% wool yarns, they like the shape that they are knitted in, which is why I love them so much, because I don't have to be worried about how I lay them flat after washing them, because they keep their shape. So I just use the same size. It's still a bit cinched in because that's the way ribbing works. It's a tighter gauge than knitted fabric, but I don't have to block it out too much to get it to stay straight. I was knitting on the ribbing and I was loving it. And this was the length that it said to do for the back. And then I started on the front and I didn't read the part about it's supposed to be shorter than the back. And I got to the point where they were equally long, and instead of ripping back, I decided to just knit it longer so that my version ribbing is actually longer than in the pattern, but the same proportions as in the pattern, if that makes sense. So it is longer in the back than in the front. What else can I say? Love knitting on this. I like to switch between them. The sweater patterns are kind of similar in their shape. Both great fall sweaters. This one is kind of rough on the hands, and this one is it's not rough at all. It's like ointment for the hands almost. So I'm switching between them to give my skin a bit of rest from this one, because I do struggle a bit with sensitive skin on my hands. Probably a combination of being slightly allergic to maybe lanolin, I don't know, or just maybe the dyes in the wool, and then all the hand sanitizers at work. It's just my skin doesn't like it so much. So I'm switching a bit in between and it's working out great. This will definitely be the warmer one. This will be the one that I put on to feel snuggly and soft. So 2 wonderful sweaters in the making. Since last time, I do actually have a finished object, which we should get to before it gets dark. And this is already very dirty because I have decided to put it in the kitchen. So this is my scrappy rug that I made using a weaving chair loom. 2 episodes ago I showed it. I still don't know what it's called. I don't know the brand. I borrowed it from my aunt who bought it in the 90s or 80s. But this is a blanket, or no, it's a rug that I made using all my woolen scraps. And I still have plenty of scraps. So I first made one, and then I made another one, and then I just sewed them together, hand sewed them using one of the scrappy yarns in this. I think I ended up using that grayish brown color to just hand sew it together. And this one is actually slightly shorter than the other one. It was a bit difficult to measure with it still being on the loom, but I mean, come on, it's a scrappy rug. It's super rustic. It looks extremely homemade, and that's kind of what I love about it. So right now this is in the kitchen because in the cabin we don't have heating in the floors. It's an old cabin. It was upgraded a few years ago, so there is heating in the bathroom and hallway, but the rest of the cabin is all wood. So it's nice to have a little bit of woolly warmth underneath our feet when we're standing by the sink and stove in the kitchen, which are, it's like a tiny little hallway, and then you have the stove and the sink on each side. So this is on that floor space, and it feels really nice. So we'll see how long it lasts before it needs to be washed, because when you make food you make a mess. And I've been making a lot of jams. I've been foraging, so I've been dropping a bit of mountain cranberries and blueberries onto it, but luckily it has a lot of colors, so you don't really see that. And one last project that has gotten a little bit of work in is this gigantic enormous blanket on 10mm needles. So this monster, or monstrosity, is supposed to be a king-sized blanket, and it's using a mix of pearl stitches for the olive green and garter for the pearl. And this is some old stash yarn called the Petite Wool by We Are Knitters. So I have gotten a bit of work done on it since the last time, but this is a project that I keep here at the cabin, so I don't work at it at home, and I think it's gonna get a lot more work on it when I'm up here now in the fall and winter when it's a bit cooler, because then it's nice to have that warm blanket on the lap. But right now I'm really feeling the sweaters. Last time I had finished one sock of the Hera socks, and I put a little bit of progress into the second sock. I have finished the heel, so now I'm about to pick up stitches and do the, now I can show it on my hand, and do the leafy lace pattern, and then the foot and toe. So I just need to find the time, quiet, and brain space to follow a chart, because right now I'm really into the whole stockinette or garter. Alright, so that was all of the knitting that I have gotten done in the less than a week since I recorded last time. So I think I'm gonna move on to just sitting and knitting and talking a bit about life and foraging and making jam and hiking, and yeah, so if that's not your thing, then I'll see you next time. I will also be including a bit of footage at the end of this episode from my hikes around here. So maybe I'll knit on my half and half wrap, because that doesn't require too much brain capacity, so I can still talk to you. I could also be knitting on my weekender, but I need to join another skein, and I'm not gonna spit splice in front of you because I'm a lady, or so I tell myself sometimes. And of course I made a mess, so I'll just be untangling this first. But yeah, so I came up to the cabin, my father was here, and we went hiking up a very tall mountain behind the cabin. It's at 1,370 meters above sea level. So we went hiking up there. I'm out of shape and he has bad knees, so that was an interesting experiment. But we made it up after, I think it took us 3 hours with a lot of breathing breaks, which are necessary. I think next time I could probably walk up faster, but I just needed to space out my energy, not knowing how hard it was gonna be. And it was nice getting up there. I don't know if I want to walk up there again. It wasn't a very nice path. It's very steep, so they have actually they hired some do you call it sharpas to make the path with like stone steps, but then they've also released some gravel to kind of mark the path. But that gravel means that when I try to walk up there, I keep slipping because the gravel moves, and going down was even worse. So yeah, but going up there, there was a lot of cloudberries, is that what you call it? It's a bit out of season now, but it was really nice for like 2 weeks ago, so my parents did pick a lot of it. This week it's been a great season for picking blueberries and mountain cranberries, mountain cowberries, we call them tyttebær. So I've been picking those, and I didn't have enough space in the freezer, so I've frozen down some of them, and then I have made jam with some of them, so that doesn't have to be in the fridge, and we save a bit of space. In Norway, they sell these berry pickers at most grocery stores. They make the job so much easier, and we actually found at this one store they were selling this tray. It looked like the one they used to find gold, where you can kind of shake it, and that made the job of cleaning the berries 10 times better. So if you can get your hands on that, if you like to pick berries, highly recommend. So that's what I've been up to. Blueberries are definitely my favorite, mountain wild blueberries. They are actually blue and purple inside, not the white ones that you buy in the stores, and their taste is so much better. My favorite are the ones that you just kind of mix with a bit of sugar fresh and put it on bread or waffles or whatever you're eating. I did have to make some jam with it though, where you cook it up and you put kind of a freezing, we call it freezing powder, but it kind of thickens it. So I did have to do that with some of it, just so there would be space in the freezer. Again, small cabin, small storage, small freezer. It's just 3 little drawers, and there's also bread and dinner stuff and other things in there, so not a lot of space. Maybe I'll take some of it down to my apartment so I have a little bit of jam there as well. We shall see. I went hiking up another mountain with my father and brother the second day, and we found so many blueberries on that path, but we didn't have those berry pickers with us, so we only managed to collect like a little bit. So I went back there alone yesterday when they left, and I picked around 2.5 kilos of blueberries, so that was really nice. Today I went out paddling in a canoe. We have 3 canoes here. One of them is like a racing canoe. I'm scared of even getting in that because you just look at it and it'll turn over. The second one is one of those that you blow up with a pump, and it has 2 seats, so that's the one that I've been using together with whoever is here. But then we also have a fishing canoe, which I haven't tried yet, so I tried it today, and it's a lot sturdier than the other ones, and I could actually lie down. I brought a coffee on thermos with me, and I brought my knitting, and I was thoroughly enjoying the day. However, it was quite windy, so the canoe kept moving with the wind, so I had to keep paddling back, and in the end I just gave up because it started to get a bit cold. So I went ashore and continued knitting inside. I realize you can't actually see me knitting because I'm sitting too low. Yes, so that's what I've been doing. I'm waiting for my cousin and my friend to come up tomorrow, and we're gonna be eating all the delicious foods and probably hiking, maybe paddling. It all really depends on the weather. It's been some really nice days, but I think it's gonna get a bit colder and less sunny, so we shall see. Yeah. I did want to approach a subject because I was reading through the comments of the last video, and it was so fun to see where everyone is from. So if you didn't comment on the last one, please feel free to comment below and tell me where you're from, because it was so lovely and it put a smile on my face. But then I came across this one comment that was quite negative about me showcasing products that other creators have sent me, and it kind of ruined my day a little bit because I kept thinking about it, because so maybe I should just talk about how I feel about the whole subject. I have a lot of followers on this account, and I'm in awe by that. I love this community that's been created here, because this is just my little corner where I talk about my knitting and the things that I like. And as the amount of followers has grown, smaller creators have contacted me asking if I would like to try some of their product, or if they could send something to give in giveaways, because we have been doing cals for giveaways, and I can't buy all the things for prices myself if I'm going to do it as often. And I just want you to know that I say no to things that I don't think I genuinely will like and use myself, because I wouldn't feel comfortable showing something that I don't like myself, because this is a corner on the internet where I talk about what I like and knitting and products that I enjoy, and I don't want to show you something that I don't like. But when creators contact me with something that I genuinely think is lovely and a great product, a great yarn, then I want to share that with you as well. When I started knitting, I didn't really know about smaller makers. Knitting is a very common thing in Norway, but it's mainly the big brands that are in the stores. So the fabric brands, hillesvåg, Sandnesgarn, drops, Viking, bigger companies. And I didn't really know much about hand-dyed yarns, indie makers, and these sort of things. So I think it's really nice to be able to bring light to those smaller makers and share that, so that people get to know about them. I have my Instagram account, Knittingtraditions, where I follow only knitting and crafty things, because that's a nice way of getting input and inspiration. However, there is this thing about the algorithm on Instagram that sometimes the smaller accounts get lost in the algorithm. So I think it's nice to be able to showcase and share the products that they send me that I like, and I always give an honest review, and that's also why I say no to things that I don't feel comfortable reviewing for you guys. So I just wanted to get that straight, and I always say clearly if I've been gifted or if I've swapped with someone or if I bought it, because I want it to be transparent. But also just know that I don't say yes to things that I don't like. That makes sense? I hope so. And anyways, I try to put acquisitions at the end, because I know some people don't like it. I personally love acquisitions. It makes me so happy. One of my favorite podcasts used to be Espace Tricot. They haven't recorded in forever. I think it's because of COVID. I hope they get back to it. But Lisa and Melissa, they're store owners in Canada, and they have a lot of kind of props and knitting things and baskets, and they show all these things as acquisitions to their store, and I love it. So yeah, I'm gonna show when I get things, because I like to share, and I think some people find inspiration in it that are looking for these kind of things. But I tried to put it at the end just because I know not everyone likes it. And honestly, if you don't like the content of a podcaster online, just remember that these people, me, we're people, and if you don't like watching it, just watch something else. Because, you know, I grew up with this saying, I don't know, do you have it in English? It says, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. And I try to live by that. At the same time, I will try to put it at the end because, you know, then people who are just here for the knitting can come here for the knitting. Yeah. Alright, so that was a little rant about that whole thing. But I felt like it was something I wanted to address because it was bugging me a little bit. So, maybe we can talk a little bit more about Norwegian culture. Because Norwegian people are a bit strange in the way that a lot of foreigners or people from other nationalities would describe Norwegian people as a bit cold, hard to get in close to, not very hospitable, and I don't know, I think maybe Norwegian people are just, they're very warm and comfortable with the people in their circle, but they're a bit kind of afraid of strangers, almost in the way that they're acting. And the funny thing is, if you meet a Norwegian person out in nature, like skiing or hiking, that's a whole nother story. It's like their personality changes. If you meet anyone out here skiing or walking, people will be smiling and saying hello, which is something that doesn't happen in the cities in an everyday life, but it's kind of mandatory when you're hiking or skiing. It's almost like when I was walking up that mountain and I was struggling just to breathe, then you will sacrifice your breath to say hello to every single person that you meet, at the risk of dying. No, I'm just kidding. But it almost feels like it. So you put on a smile and you say hello, and sometimes, you know, you put in a little comment about almost there, or beautiful weather, or enjoy your hike. And it's quite the stark contrast to how the Norwegian population behave elsewhere. So yeah. But I was having this feeling that, you know, when I was walking out and about and just putting that smile on my face and greeting everyone with a smile, no matter how you're feeling, then that kind of, it affects you in a way, so that even if you're having a bad day or you're feeling tired, just putting on that smile and smiling to someone else, it kind of made the day a bit better somehow. When you greet someone with a smile, then that is a gesture that could really mean a lot to the other person. And I feel like if you just put on that smile and greet people with a smile, do that nice gesture, then that kind of will affect you as well after a while. So I tried to do that. I tried to greet everyone with a smile. Also at work, even if I'm stressed and tired, I try my best to greet everyone with a smile, and I think it just makes the day better for every part that's involved. At least that's my theory. So if you can take anything away from this random rambling of mine, then smile. Share your smile with the world and see if it does something for you. I feel like it does for me, so who knows, maybe it's all in my head, but I generally think that smiling is a good thing. Okay, I definitely might have been a bit too long out in the sun today. I don't even know if what I'm saying is making any sense at all. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you're smiling, that you're knitting, or maybe having a beverage, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you soon when I am back home. Alright, bye!